In 2010, three-dimensional TVs ruled every showroom wall. 5 years later, they were discontinued, killed by a flickering shutter trick that gave viewers headaches. The escape came from one boring fix. That's last. Here's how big this was. Around 2010, Samsung, LG, Sony, and Panasonic all pushed three-dimensional as the future of television. Avatar had just made three-dimensional movies, the thing everyone wanted. So three-dimensional became the marquee feature you paid a premium for. Every brand bet on it at once. Then the whole industry walked away inside 5 years. A rare, near-total collapse of a flagship feature. The fix wasn't a better shutter. It was simpler and almost nobody saw it coming. So how did a flat screen ever fake depth? Start with how your eyes see the real world. Your left eye and right eye sit a couple inches apart. So each one catches a slightly different angle on everything in front of you. Your brain compares those two views and reads the gap as distance. That gap is the whole trick of depth. A three-dimensional TV's job was to feed each eye its own slightly different picture. And it did that by taking turns. Here's the core move called active shutter three-dimensional. The screen shows a frame meant for your left eye, then instantly swaps to a frame meant for your right eye, then back over and over faster than you can notice the swap. On its own, that would just look like a blurry double image. Both eyes see both frames. That's where the glasses come in. The glasses aren't tinted plastic. Each lens is a tiny liquid crystal shutter. A lens that can turn clear or go black on command, the same basic tech as a calculator screen. When the TV shows the left frame, the glasses turn the right lens black. So only your left eye sees it. A blink later, the TV shows the right frame, and the glasses black out the left lens instead. The two swaps stay locked together because the glasses are battery-powered. They take a constant timing signal from the TV, usually an infrared or Bluetooth pulse. Do that swap 60 times a second per eye, and your brain never notices the blackouts. It just receives two slightly different pictures and does what it always does, reads the gap as depth. On paper, it's elegant. Each eye gets exactly its intended frame, and a flat panel produces a scene that pops off the wall. But every part of that elegant trick came with a hidden bill, and the panel was about to hand it to you. Now the hidden bills. Start with the refresh rate, how many full pictures the screen paints every second. A premium three-dimensional set ran at 120 frames a second, which sounds enormous. But remember the trick, the panel is splitting those frames between two eyes taking turns. So each eye only gets half of them. That 120 Hz TV was really delivering about 60 frames a second to your left eye and 60 to your right. You paid for a fast panel and each eye watched a slower one. Then comes the brightness problem, and this one you could feel. Think about what the shutter is actually doing. Half the time, each lens is black. That's the whole point. That's how it hides the wrong frame from the wrong eye. But a black lens doesn't just block one frame. It blocks all the light coming at your eye during that moment. Add it up across a whole movie, and each eye is shuttered off for roughly half the runtime. So roughly half the light the TV pumps out never reaches you. The picture through the glasses looked noticeably dimmer, like watching a bright screen through a pair of sunglasses you couldn't take off. Manufacturers cranked the backlight to fight it, but you were always paying a brightness tax. And here's the part that turned discomfort into rejection. This whole system only works if the glasses and the panel stay perfectly in step. The TV blacks out the right lens at the exact instant it shows the left frame. If that timing drifts even slightly, a weak signal, a cheap pair of glasses, a fast-moving scene, your left eye catches a sliver of the frame meant for the right. That leak shows up as a faint ghost, a double edge trailing every object. Engineers call it crosstalk. In a still shot you might not catch it, but on a bright action scene it was everywhere and it never fully went away. Half the frames, half the light, and a ghost that wouldn't leave. That's a lot to ask a viewer to forgive, and their bodies were about to stop forgiving it. Here's where the body pushes back. Your eyes have two jobs that normally move together. They aim inward to point at whatever you're looking at, and they focus their lenses to make that thing sharp. Look at something close, both jobs crank up together. Look far, both relax together. A three-dimensional TV broke that pairing. Your eyes were forced to aim as if a spaceship were floating 3 feet in front of your nose, while their lenses stayed focused on a flat screen 10 feet away. Aiming says close, focusing says far, the two signals fight. That fight has a name, the Vergence accommodation conflict, and after 20 minutes it reliably produced headaches, eye strain, and for a lot of people, real nausea. Stack that on top of the flicker and the dimness, and the picture was actively making viewers feel sick. Then there was the sheer hassle. To watch, every single person in the room needed a pair of battery-powered glasses. They were bulky, they cost real money, often $50 to $100 a pair, and they had to be charged before movie night. A family of 5 needed 5 pairs, and most TVs shipped with 2. If you already wore prescription glasses, you wore a second set on top, pressing on your nose for 2 hours. None of this was a deal-breaker alone. Together it meant getting ready to watch felt like work. And there was almost nothing to watch. Studios released a thin trickle of 3-dimensional movies. Broadcasters mostly gave up, and the big library never showed up. So buyers were being asked to charge glasses, dim their picture, and risk a headache for a handful of titles. Meanwhile, a different upgrade landed with none of that baggage. 4 times sharper screens, called 4K, arrived bright, sharper on every frame, and needed no glasses at all. Set them side by side and the choice made itself. One upgrade cost you comfort for a gimmick. The other just made everything you already watched look better. The industry had reached a fork. So here's the fix the whole industry finally reached, and it was almost anticlimactic. They stopped fighting biology. Instead of engineering a better way to trick 2 eyes with one flat panel, the major makers simply dropped 3-dimensional. They poured that research money into the thing every viewer could enjoy with no glasses, no headache, and no dimming. Sharper, brighter pictures. All the research and development that had gone into shutter timing and crosstalk went into 4K resolution and into HDR, which lets a screen show brighter brights and deeper darks in the same frame. No conflicting signals for your brain to reconcile, just a better version of the flat image people already loved. The result was quick and total. By around 2016 and 2017, the last major manufacturers ended 3-dimensional support entirely. Samsung, LG, and Sony all quietly stopped building it into new sets. The marquee feature of 2010 was gone from the lineup in about 5 years. And the lesson generalizes cleanly, which is why it's worth keeping. A feature that charges you in comfort, in brightness, and in cash, for a gimmick that fights how your body actually works, loses to a plain one that simply makes every frame you already watch look better. Depth was exciting on the box, but brightness and clarity were what people lived with every night. When the two collided, the boring upgrade won, and it wasn't close. If you own a TV that still has a 3-dimensional mode buried in a menu, that's the fossil. A setting nobody at the factory maintains anymore, left in because ripping it out cost more than leaving it. Turn it on once for the museum tour, then never again. That's the whole autopsy. A shutter trick that promised depth and delivered a dim, halved picture, a ghost that wouldn't leave, and a headache 20 minutes in. It didn't fail because the idea was dumb. It failed because it billed your eyes for a magic trick they never asked for. Next, we open the box on another dead fad that everyone swore was the future, and take apart exactly why it flatlined.